At the very last moment before the electric chair, he made an unusual request. No luxury, no redemption, just one thing. He wanted to see his dog. The guards hesitated, but they allowed it. When Charlie walked in, the room went silent. Eyes locked, breath held. Could a simple dog really change anything? No one expected what happened next. At the last moment before the electric chair, everything turned upside down. A forgotten detail, a sharp instinct, a moment that changed everything. What did Charlie sense that no one else did? What happened in that room left everyone speechless. Find out now. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from. And if you love incredible animal stories, don't forget to like this video. John Parker had lost all sense of time. In death row, the days blended into an endless cycle of waiting and despair. The metallic clang of cell doors, the hoarse voices of guards, the heavy scent of disinfectant mixed with sweat and concrete dust. Time didn't exist there, only the relentless ticking of a cruel countdown. He used to have quiet mornings before everything fell apart. A steaming cup of coffee in a chipped mug, the newspaper folded neatly on the kitchen table, the slow, steady breathing of Charlie lying by his feet. The dog always waited patiently for John to finish reading before tugging at his pants, asking for their morning walk, a sacred ritual between them. Now it was just a distant memory from a life that no longer belonged to him. The weight of injustice pressed on his chest. He wasn't a saint, but he wasn't the monster the newspapers painted him as. The prosecution called him cold and calculating, but no one wanted to hear his side. The evidence was weak, yet the system, always hungry for a guilty man, found in him the perfect scapegoat. So he was thrown into limbo, waiting for the world to forget he ever existed. His request to see Charlie was met with disbelief. The lawyers knew that anything outside protocol would raise suspicion. Some guards laughed, others shook their heads. But there was something about the way John asked, something heavy in his voice, a quiet desperation that made them say yes. When the moment finally arrived, John's stomach twisted. He was about to see his best friend, the only soul who had never doubted him. The hallway fell silent as the sound of paws echoed down the corridor. The jingle of a collar, the soft tap of claws against the polished floor. The quick, shallow breaths of a dog who didn't know where he was, but recognized a familiar scent. The moment Charlie's eyes met John's, time stopped. The dog didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, pulling against the leash, barking with excitement and desperation. John dropped to his knees as Charlie jumped on him, licking his face, whining, pressing his body against his owner. For a moment, the cold prison walls faded away. No guards, no bars. Just two souls that should have never been separated. Then something changed. Charlie stiffened, his body tensed, and a low growl rumbled in his throat. His eyes locked onto one of the guards watching nearby. The growl deepened, his fur bristled. John felt a chill run down his spine. Charlie had never acted like this before. What was he trying to say? The corridor fell into a heavy silence. Prisoners, guards, everyone was watching. Something was about to happen. Do you think the justice system can still fail, even with all the evidence? Why? Charlie wouldn't stop staring. His growl wasn't just a reaction, it was a warning. His stance, rigid, his tail, low and tense. Anyone who's ever had a dog knows. They don't growl for no reason. They sense fear, lies, guilt. They see what human eyes miss, and right now Charlie knew something was very, very wrong. John, still on his knees, ran a hand over his friend's fur, trying to calm him, but Charlie wouldn't look away. He knew that scent, and it wasn't a good one. The man Charlie was growling at shifted uncomfortably. Beads of sweat formed on his forehead. What was he hiding? Who hasn't seen a dog wait by the door, tail wagging, ears perked, ready for their person to return? Or jump with pure joy when they see someone they love? They don't care about time, mistakes, or judgments. To Charlie, John was still his owner. But now, love had turned into instinct. John asked himself, what had his best friend just uncovered? The guard tried to brush it off. He coughed, looked away, forced a smile. But Charlie wasn't buying it. He took a step closer, growl deepening. The sound echoed through the hall. One of the other guards gripped his baton, uneasy. "Control your dog," he muttered. But John knew something was coming, and this time he wasn't alone. Charlie always knew when John was coming home, even before hearing the car. He always sensed when something was off, like that stormy night when he yanked John away from a pole just seconds before lightning struck. He was more than just a dog. He was instinct, truth. Inside the prison, everything went still. The air grew heavy. Charlie, restless, let out a sharp bark, loud and urgent, like a warning. The guard wiped his forehead. And then it happened. The dog lunged forward as if trying to expose something. That was the moment when everything started to unravel. Do you believe dogs can sense when something's wrong? Let us know in the comments. The guard took a step back, trying to stay composed, but the sweat on his face gave him away. Charlie didn't look away. His low growl, once restrained, was now a clear warning. The other guards exchanged glances. Something was off. Dogs don't make mistakes. One of the senior officers, Sergeant Miller, stepped in. He wasn't easily shaken, but he knew when something didn't add up. "Check the records," he ordered firmly. A guard rushed off while the others stood alert. The accused guard, now visibly uneasy, protested, "This is ridiculous. A dog can't be used as evidence." But his words rang hollow. Charlie's reaction wasn't normal. Anyone who's ever had a dog knew that. They sense danger before it happens. They distrust strangers long before a word is spoken. A dog's instinct is often better than any lie detector. The silence shattered when the officer returned, a folder in hand. "We found something." The words hit like a gut punch. The accused guard stiffened. His hands trembled as the officer flipped through the papers. These documents, they were never presented in court. There were discrepancies. Signatures didn't match. Witness statements had been altered. And worst of all, evidence that could have cleared John years ago had been buried. And who had handled those documents? The very same guard Charlie was growling at. This was the proof they needed. For a moment, John felt the ground disappear beneath him. The suffocating prison air, the weight of lost years, the certainty that he had been condemned by mistake, it all hit at once. But then, something warm pressed against his hand. Charlie. His dog had stood by him until the end, and now he had just saved him. The scandal exploded. Within hours, lawyers were called in, judges reopened the case, and the media swarmed the prison. Parker, once seen as a criminal, was now recognized as a victim of a broken system. Headlines everywhere read, "The dog that exposed the truth." The public reaction was instant. Thousands of people started asking how many innocent people were behind bars. How many dogs, if only they had been heard, could have prevented injustice? Parker's case changed policies, pushed for deeper investigations, and above all, proved the power of true loyalty. When the prison doors finally opened, Parker didn't walk out alone. Charlie was right there beside him, leash loose in his owner's hand, stepping together into a new life. They had lost years, but they never lost what mattered: loyalty, love, and most importantly, the truth. Do you think animals can sense the truth better than humans? Why? The prison gates opened, and John Parker took his first step as a free man. The sun warmed his skin, a feeling almost forgotten. But nothing mattered more than the dog at his side. Charlie, wagging his tail, eyes full of life. The world looked the same, but to John it was brand new. The smell of coffee, children's laughter, the breeze on his face. Tiny moments that had been stolen from him. And the greatest gift? Charlie, ever faithful, pressing his nose against John's hand. His story spread fast. Reporters wanted every detail, but all he wanted was a fresh start. He found a home, took long walks with Charlie, and rediscovered life, step by step. For the first time in years, his smile was real. How far can a dog's loyalty go? If this story moved you, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And if you love heartwarming animal stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. We love seeing how far our stories reach. You won't believe this incredible story of loyalty. It's right there on your screen. Click now and uncover the mystery. See you in the next video.